As with all parades, we're going to start this one off with a few emergency vehicles, police cars and fire engines. And the very first antique vehicle in our parade is actually going to be a American LaFrance fire engine belonging to the Pass Christian Fire Department. Probably an early 50s, late 40s fire engine. Immediately following our American LaFrance is a 1932 Ford Roadster, a very popular vehicle for customizing, and this one's been customized quite a bit. Another very popular vehicle at automotive events is the Corvette. Here we have a blue, looks like an early 60s Corvette, followed by late 70s Corvette. Most Corvette aficionados can tell you every year of every car by looking at the features such as the rear lights, the headlights, and the grille. I can't do that. But this one seems to be easier than most. It has 1979 written on the side of it. Makes me believe it's a 1979 Corvette official pace car. Followed by a yellow Mustang. These Mustangs came out around 1964, and they ran that same body style for quite a while before they changed it. But even today, the Mustangs that they're manufacturing have a lot of the features that make them easily identifiable as Mustangs. They resemble the very first ones that came out. And a couple of more Corvettes. Corvette, an iconic car. They're actually produced from the factory to be collector's cars, so it shouldn't surprise us that 20, 30, 40, 50 years later, they are extremely collectible. And we're being followed there by a green Ford Galaxy 500. Love them Galaxy 500s. Now, this is a 54 Bel Air hardtop, Chevrolet Bel Air hardtop. Anytime you see a car that does not have a post between the roof and the body behind the front door, that's called a hardtop. Another Mustang in red. Very popular color for Mustangs. The gold car behind the Mustang is a Chevrolet Nova. Two-door Chevrolet Nova. Not a hardtop. If you notice, it has doorpost. And here we have a red Malibu convertible. A little bit older, 60s model. Another Corvette. In fact, there's two of them here. Now, the car coming up behind the Corvettes is, I believe, a 32 Ford sedan. I'm not really sure of the make. It's around a 32. And it's got what's called a blower on top of it. Now, that's a 671 blower. They actually make a thing that does the same job as that today, but it's smaller, and that just looks really cool. So those are top dollar when you see a 671 blower on top of a V8. We're followed by a blue Malibu. Ooh, hard stop. Got to make sure them kids get their candy and toys. And here we go. This is a Ford Falcon, and it's in black. Growing up, I thought all Falcons were white because I never saw one unless it was white. Apparently, they made them in different colors. Either that or these owners have changed them to different colors, because I didn't see any white Ford Falcons this year. Here goes a Malibu, Chevrolet Malibu, green. Followed by another Mustang. Convertible, white convertible. And here we go, a Cadillac convertible, early 60s Cadillac convertible. With all the beaches we're riding down in this Cruisin the Coast event, that's probably one of the favorite cars to be in. Right behind that is another Ford Falcon. And I've seen some of these with a tag on them that says Futura. I don't know if Futuras are different than Falcons, but this particular one is a Ranchero. That's the Falcon with a pickup bed. And over the years, they've made many different designs of Rancheros. And that vehicle right behind that was a T-Bird. Now this is a really huge truck. It says C10 on it. You'd think the numbers would be bigger, but that's a Chevrolet truck, and it is an antique, probably around 30 years old, and really big. Followed by a Chevy 2. And a Corvette. This is a later model Corvette than the ones we've seen previously. Now this one here is it's a Pontiac, and I believe it's a Bonneville, but I'm not really sure. I think it says Bonneville on it. Really cool car. Followed by an El Camino. El Camino is Chevrolet's version of a car pickup truck. So just like the Ranchero that we saw earlier was Ford's version of a car pickup truck, this is Chevrolet's. Another Mustang. Followed by another iconic car. This is a '59 Chevrolet. Back at that time, Chevrolet was changing their body style every year, so it's really easy to identify them from one another. It's not like some cars that'll make the same body style for 5 or 6 years in a row. But if you look at the tail fins on that, they're very, very unique. That's only going to be found on the '59. Similar thing happened with Cadillacs in '59. This vehicle appears to be an Oldsmobile, and I mean, I'm only guessing at that, but I think that's an Oldsmobile because it looks like what they call a Rocket 88, which eventually morphed into a Delta 88. This truck, absolutely could not identify it by any features other than the fact that it says International over the engine, so it is a international pickup truck, blue one, in fact. There goes another white Chevy 2. Or, yeah, well, Falcon or Chevy 2. This is a late 30s Chevrolet, I do believe, but I don't know that, but I think that's a late 30s Chevrolet. And there goes the dune buggy. Now, these dune buggies, a lot of people don't know, but they are all built on Volkswagen floor pans, and I believe that this car probably is built on a Volkswagen floor pan too, because I think they're together. That was actually an MG kit car. They have a lot of kit cars out there. Most of them are easy to spot, but the MGs actually kind of pull it off. There's a Chevrolet pickup truck, 5-window pickup truck, pre-1954, followed by a Ford Ranger, followed by a 32 Ford, I believe. Went about a little too fast for me. And here we go, another Chevrolet, yeah, blue Chevrolet. Here's a Corvette, and it seems to be followed by, what is that? Is that a Monte Carlo? Or, I don't know. Shouldn't be guessing. I'll just be quiet when I don't know. That's a Ford 500 Galaxy, another Galaxy Ford. Beautiful car. I love the way they had those headlights stacked. 4 headlights stacked, one on top of the other. Now this is a Chevrolet, another one that you can easily identify by the tail lights. Well, easily if you're a Chevrolet guy. I'm not really, but I think that's a 55. That's a C10. Okay, this one I saw earlier. This is a 35, and I thought it was a Ford because Fords are known for their suicide doors, but this one has suicide doors front and back. That means the doors open backwards, and that's not a Ford feature, I don't think. So it's probably a Chevrolet. It may be a Dodge or something, but I think that's a Chevrolet, and it's probably around a 35. I know I'm not off by too much. Another Falcon. That's Chevrolet C10 pickup, followed by a Camaro. In fact, there's 2 Camaros right here. I think they're together. One's a convertible, and the other one is a hardtop. you go. And here we have a Jeep. Now, Jeeps are another vehicle that's rather easy to identify, and we have a really, really huge group of people that are Jeep fans, and they'll all get together. You'll see, I don't know, it looked like we saw 100 Jeeps together during Cruisin the Coast last year, and that was a Pontiac Le Mans that just went by the way. This also is some kind of a General Motors product. I think it's a Cadillac, but it's one of them years that I'm just not that familiar with. Now, this is a Cadillac convertible, and since most of Cruisin the Coast takes place on Highway 90, which runs straight down the beach for mile after mile, I think this would be a really, really cool car to be in for Cruisin the Coast. Another Chevrolet, and as I said before, they're always easy to identify because they changed the completely redesigned the car every year back in the day. This is a 58. And 57s were such a hot car that a lot of people didn't really pay much attention to the 58s. I'm glad there are people around that have rescued or preserved these vehicles. Now, this is a station wagon. It's a Chevrolet station wagon, but with Chevrolet, some of their station wagons are called Nomads, and I'm not really sure what differentiates them, but I do believe that is a Nomad. Followed by a Cougar convertible. Oh, yes, it's a T-bucket. The thing that's unique about this one is most people have the shortened beds on the back of their T-buckets, so this is probably a steel car. You know, a lot of the T-buckets are fiberglass, but when it's got the full bed like that, it makes me think it's real. That, I believe, is a Jeep, but I don't know. It looks like something my uncle drove years ago, and his was a Jeep. Another 57, very iconic car. This is the one that everybody wants, especially a convertible, you know, RR top. Look at those fins. It's always 57s that look like that. All right, I'm getting behind. There goes another Camaro. Now, this vehicle, I was looking at this thing earlier. It's got 1940 Ford headlights and a 1940 Ford grill, like a car grill. It's supposed to be a pickup truck, but the windshield actually looks like the rear window from a 80s model T-Bird. So that's probably a car that was made from scratch. Very few authentic antique parts on it. Okay. I think this is a Firebird. Firebird is like very similar to a Camaro, but it's made by Pontiac. Pontiac is a GMC company, just like Chevrolet. Speaking of which, there's another 57 Chevy. I've been thinking about the car that's behind this 57 Chevy. I was thinking it was a Dodge Diplomat or something like that, but I think this is like the first attempt that Dodge made into the front-wheel drive. I don't know that for certain. I think they called them K cars, and I really don't know which K car that is because Chrysler, you know, they make Chrysler, Plymouth, Dodge, and I think each one had their own K car. Another Camaro. Another Chevrolet. Thought I saw this car earlier, but I don't remember the previous one having Coca-Cola wrote on it. Here we go. I think this might be a Ford. 32 Ford. The grill is pretty much straight up down. Followed by a Willys. That's a Willys. Same people that made most of the Jeeps for World War II. And here pulling into traffic is a Ford, another Ford Fairlane. Impala, I believe, followed by what's called a gasser. I think that's like a 51 gasser, 51 Chevrolet gasser. It's a coupe. I think it's 51. It looks just like my car. I used to have a 51 sedan. It's called the Skyline Deluxe. It just had a little bit shorter roof on this particular version, so you'd have less space in the back seat than what my car had. Chevrolet. Get the Chevrolet. I promise not to talk about cars I can't recognize. Okay, this is very similar to the other ones. I think early 60s Corvette. Another Chevrolet pickup truck. You know, when I say another Chevy, another C10, another Chevy pickup truck, it doesn't take away their legitimacy. You know, that's a really cool truck. And if everybody on the road had a truck like that, and I had a truck like that, I would still be proud of it. I love those old Chevy trucks. Yellow Malibu, followed by, what is that? Is that like an Oldsmobile too? Oh, forgot. I'm not supposed to say anything. Another Chevy truck, gold. Another Malibu with a convertible Malibu. And this is I don't know. It could be a Ford or a Chevy. If my friend Billy was here, he knows every year Ford and Chevy, but it's really radically altered. I think the grill looks like I don't know, but it's chopped. It's chopped a lot. I chopped a Honda Civic like that once before. That's about a 9-inch chop in that roof. That's a lot to lower a roof. Black 57 Chevy just went by. Another Chevy. Oh, this is a little bit newer C10 Chevrolet, but probably well within the legally allowed dates for an antique. Now, if you notice, this sedan has actually got regular doors in the front and then suicide doors in the back. So if you open the front and back doors, it's like walking into a room because it opens the whole side of the car up. The last one that I saw, I thought was a Chevrolet. This may be a Ford because I think that's the arrangement that Ford had. And if you think these cars are really easy to distinguish, they are if you own one. But if you don't, it's very difficult to tell one year from another or one make from another because they pretty much worked side by side at trying to grab as much attention as possible so they could be the ones selling the most cars. Now that's a Camaro, but it said Z28 on the side, and I'm not sure what the difference is other than I think it has a bigger engine. But I had a friend with a Camaro once, and I told him he had a nice Camaro, and he goes, oh, it's a Z28, as if somehow that's different than a Camaro. A pink Chevrolet this time. I think that was a 55 as well. This is another Corvette. Okay, I think this is a Pontiac. I think that's Chief Pontiac's head on the front. Those Pontiacs, it seems like every time you see a Pontiac, it's got Chief Pontiac's head for a hood ornament. But all those General Motors products kind of look the same. This is a Chevrolet truck, and once again, pre-1954. They kind of changed the grill up in 54, and then the next thing you know, it was a completely different truck. So they only had that 54 once. The only reason I know that is because my grandfather drove one. Okay, here we go. This is, what was that? Just went by. It's a Cutlass there. I think it says Cutlass on the side. Oldsmobile Cutlass. What do we got here? Oh, good. It's a station wagon. You know, so few of those things survived. I don't know how people can keep these things so well preserved. If you break one of those windows in the back, that's like impossible to find. Pretty much just have to junk the car if you break a window. That's not really true, and they're beautiful cars. I think I'm more drawn to station wagons than any other vehicle because there's so few of them. Here is I think that's a Dodge Coronet. It looks like my friend's. He had a Dodge Coronet in his garage, and his house went underwater in Katrina, so they had to push the car out to work on the garage, and the car never made it back in the house, and it was all rusted out by the time. His father bought it brand new. I've seen this black station wagon. I saw it at the Gulfport VA last year, and the guy takes the tag off of his dash so no one can know what it is. I found out later what it is and then forgot. Now this vehicle coming up actually is for sure a 32 Ford. I think that's the first time that the common man could get a car with a V8 engine. That's a flathead. If you notice how high the water intakes on the engine go up to enter into the radiator, that's a dead giveaway. And plus the spark plugs are in the top of the head. It doesn't really have valve covers on it. And here we have a Mercedes convertible. Very cool. When I was younger, these kind of cars kind of bothered me because they were imports, but they're so rare that if you don't see them at Cruisin the Coast, you never get to see one. So I'm always happy to see somebody bring an import to Cruisin the Coast. In fact, I used to bring import to Cruisin the Coast for a few years. I had a Honda Civic with a 9-inch chop, and that got me in, even though it was not within their it was only like 15 years old, and I think cars at Cruisin the Coast have to be 25. Although you can get in if your car is a special interest vehicle, which is why you'll see a lot of later model vehicles at the sites. Once again, got another Malibu. Corvette. Here's another Ford coming up. No, it ain't. That's a Chevrolet. It looks like another 59. That ain't a 59. Let's see what its tail end looks like. Yeah, that's a 60. See, it's still got the fins, but it doesn't have the teardrop-shaped tail lights. That's a 1960, and then in 61 they really kind of dropped the fins altogether. This is an Edsel. Edsels have a really bad rep as being a lemon or a failure or whatever, and I don't think there was anything wrong with the cars. It's just that they didn't catch on for some reason, and that's really the only issue that anyone's ever had with an Edsel. These things ran forever, very easy to maintain, and that's why there's so many of them around even today. If you go to any kind of a car get together, you'll see an Edsel or two there, and they really are good with their station wagons. It seems like proportionately they have more Edsel station wagons than they do sedans sometimes. Oh, I think this is a Buick. I was looking at it, it's like, that's a Malibu. No, it's and it says special on the quarter panel. So I think that's, anytime you see that, that's the Buick yeah, look at the bumper is a giveaway. It's a Buick Special. Followed by what appears to be some kind of Chrysler product. Around that time, it seemed like the Chryslers, and I may be wrong, but their bumpers always kind of look like that, especially in the rear, just from the side view. Okay, this one has me a little confused. It looks like somebody's done something radical to the hood, but I think really all they did was put a heavy rake on it. In other words, the rear wheels are high and the front wheels are low. So it makes it look strange. But the chop, it looks like it's got about a 7-inch chop in the roof. And all of that works really good at throwing me off. I think it's a Ford, but it could be an International. Another Mustang. Beautiful powder blue, baby blue, sky blue. May actually be sky. No, it isn't sky blue. I had a 51 Chevrolet painted Ford sky blue once. What is this? Chevrolet Blazer? Is that? I think they call them Blazers. It's a Chevrolet. It's like they're Suburban, but the top comes off. So if the top comes off of a Suburban, it's not a Suburban. I think it's a Blazer. It's another Galaxy, I think. Galaxy 5. Another Ford. Or a Ford Fairlane. It says Fairlane on the rear quarter. I'm going to say this is it is a pickup truck produced by General Motors. That's all I'm going to say. Because it's probably a GMC. There really isn't much difference between a GMC and a Chevrolet to me. They kind of look identical except for a few bolt-ons. So this could be either one, but I think that's a GMC pickup that I wish was mine. Now that is a 40 Ford pickup truck. A lot of times a company will alter the sedans, and then the next year the pickups will have that whatever feature they altered on the sedan. But I think with the Fords, they were pretty much, if you went down to look at their cars and trucks, every year the design would change on all of them. So the cars and the trucks look the same. Followed by Malibu and white Mustang. And a convertible Mustang. I think most people watching this video know what Mustangs are, but there is the possibility that someone will come to this video to learn the difference between the antique cars. And so even if 100 Mustangs go by, I'll let you know that they are a Mustang. And in fact, what's this? Another Ford Mustang. Wow, I tell you what, those wheels really kind of set it off from the rest of the crowd. And here we have was that a Camaro? Yes, don't go backwards. There's an even newer Corvette, but still an antique, I believe. Looks like it's over 25 years old. Followed by, I think is that a Bel Air? Maybe, I think that's a Bel Air Chevrolet, like a 53 Chevrolet Bel Air, I think. And another C10. And you know, it's like I'm not a big fan of mags or custom wheels, but I just made a point of how much that changed that Mustang. It really changed that truck too. And you've got a lot of C10s around, Chevy C10s. Oh, and here we go, a Maverick, the only Maverick we've seen so far, but not the only one we'll see at Cruisin the Coast. For a long time, these cars were kind of ignored, but you know, now that they're antiques, people who have them are fixing them up. Like a Malibu there, yeah, it's a Malibu. This is another one. I think this is another Malibu. Yep, another Malibu. Chevrolet. And this is a Chevy as well. Either a Biscayne or an Impala. Not really sure what the difference is, but looks like it's got a little, you know, you can't read what's on there, but that little circle, usually that's an Impala emblem. It's like an Impala's like a deer, and so they have that really cool stylized Impala. Oh, and here's a Mustang. This is the only Mustang to me that doesn't look like a Mustang, and I didn't like them when they came out with them, but you know, it's a very tiny car with a very big engine, so you gotta love that. And what appears to be another Ford A model. It's got a guide code on it, so that means they're getting ready to paint it. When you see a gray, flat gray color with little swirls of black on it, well, that's so that the person who's painting the car, when they're sanding it, they'll sand, and you can see when the scratches come out because the black will disappear. The black will go down in the scratches and the sandpaper will take it out. Oh, that's a beautiful Chevrolet truck right there. And a Ford, like my old Ford. I used to have a yellow Ford just like that with orange flames.